Okay, in lessons 3 and 4, I'm going to combine those because we're learning about different types of lines. We're learning about parallel lines, intersecting lines, and perpendicular lines. So let's start with parallel lines. Parallel lines never cross each other or intersect with each other. They stay the same distance apart and continue on forever. Example of parallel lines in the real world will be equal signs and railroad tracks. Sorry, I kind of crossed off in my picture. If you looked at when I make a number sentence, 6 plus 7 equals, well, it really equals 13. I don't know why I was going to put 14. These two lines, as long as they were really drawn straight with a ruler or something, they would never cross each other. However, a line like this and a line this way eventually will cross each other right here. So those cannot be parallel. So again, parallel lines will never cross each other. If train tracks crossed each other, that would be a problem, wouldn't it? I think the train would go off the tracks. So parallel lines are labeled with 2 points on each line. So if you use a straight edge and you draw 2 lines, which I want you to get something straight to draw with, like a ruler or something, I'm going to, going to use shapes. So I'm going to draw, I'm going to draw one line this way. Erase this one I did here. And then I'm going to draw another line right here. And I see that they're an equal distance apart in between. And they will never crisscross each other no matter how long I extend those 2 lines. Okay? So they're labeled with 2 points each. So I want you to draw 2 lines. And they need to be having arrows on the end to show that they are lines. And then we're going to put some points on each line, 2 points on each line. And we give them letters. So let's go with A, B, C, D. Okay, once you get that done, you can continue the video, but you might want to pause it for now. When you read this, you read them as line AB, and don't forget, is parallel to line CD. That's how you read it. When you write it, you have to use our special symbols. So we're going to put AB, and we have to show that it's a line by drawing that little arrow above it. And then we do this, it's like an equal sign that's diagonal. So 2 lines that kind of like a diagonal equal sign. That stands for parallel to line CD, and we have to put the line symbol across that. Sorry, I didn't have a lot of room there. The hint to remember parallel lines is the 2 L's in the middle of the word are parallel. So that L is parallel to that L. Okay? Now we're going to talk about intersecting lines. Lines that intersect or cross each other at some point. So a multiplication sign is an intersecting line. Okay? Let's draw some intersecting lines, and we're going to label them. So again, you need to put arrows on each end. I'm going to draw one line that goes this way, and then I'm going to draw maybe with my green. Oh, nope, wrong line. Undo. So I'll rotate this one around, and then this line will go this way. Now, with intersecting lines, we have to label them too. They each have 2 endpoints, or 2 points on the line. So let's call this G, H, and this line can be I, J. So they would label them with 2 points each, and then we'd read them as line GH intersects with line IJ. The reason that I don't need to put the little arrow above the GH or above the IJ is because I have the word to represent what I mean. But if I didn't use the word line, I needed to write them as this. So I have to show that it's IJ, oops, sorry, let me start over, sorry. Line GH, and I have to put the little arrow symbol above it, intersects, and you just write the word. There's no little symbol for that. Line IJ. Okay, and I put the little arrows above that. Make sure you have all of your labels properly. Examples of intersecting lines are streets in your neighborhood. So, for example, if you're driving down Route 38, you might see Caneville Road off to the side. Okay, Caneville intersects with Geneva, or with Route 38 in Geneva. Crosswalks are always at intersections of streets too. So, like when you're crossing Harrison and Dodson Lot, just imagine that is an intersection. So, crisscrossing is intersecting. Since parallel lines never cross each other, they are not intersecting lines. There is a special kind of intersecting line, though. Pause if you need to catch up. The special kind of intersecting line is called perpendicular lines, and these lines crisscross, but they do it in a special way. And since it's special, we call two lines that intersect in a special way, we call them perpendicular lines. I love that word for some reason. The intersection of the two lines create a right angle, or a 90-degree angle. So when I'm talking about a right angle, I'm talking about if I had a circle and I cut it into 4 equal parts, maybe it's even pi, when I can go straight up and straight across, that makes like a capital L. This is 90 degrees. So if I have two streets that crisscross each other at 90 degrees, then I have a right angle. Right there is a right angle. Okay? This line intersects with this line. You should be able to see a letter L. Now sometimes your shape could be turned this way, but if I used my imagination and looked upside down, I could see an upside down L. So that works too. The other secret is this. If I did finish this off, or I looked in the corner even, and I went straight over and straight down, which obviously mine's crooked because I'm drawing with my stylus, I would see a perfect square in the corner of this shape. 90 degrees is a perfect square. If I had a shape like this, and wait, let me redo that. If I did intersecting lines that looked like this, and I tried to get it to go out and over, does that make a square? No, because I have to come down here. That is not a square, because look at how weird it is at the bottom. It's like a V shape. But if I go out and down, I fill in a little bit of a square. Okay? On this corner, if I tried to make this a square, if I go out and down, that's not a square, because look at that weird shape it makes. So you should be able to see the capital letter L when lines intersect, or perpendicular. Sometimes it's a capital T. Okay? And label the perpendicular lines with 3 or 4 points. It depends on how many you have. So, for example, this has a common end point. If I were to extend it like this, I could have 1, 2, 3, 4 points. If I extended it like that, I would have 4 points. Okay, I could go 1, 2, 3, 4. So for our example, we can have 3 or 4 points, and I'm just going to do, I'll make one that has 4 points. Okay, so I'm going to erase this drawing I had, and see if I can find a good shape. Well, I don't see the one I like, so I'm actually going to keep what I had. So let's label this one, and you can extend yours too if you drew yours like mine. So we have point A, oops, get back to a different color. So point A, B, C, and D. So this line AB is perpendicular to line CD. So you read them as line AB is perpendicular to line CD. And you write them as AB, and you put the line with the arrows on it, is perpendicular to line CD. Okay, so you're going to write the symbols of each of these types of lines. So the parallel symbol looks like this, looks like a sideways equal sign, and the perpendicular sign looks like an upside down T. Okay, that's what that symbol here is. We're looking at these, and we're going to label them using letters and symbols. So I noticed these intersect, but they don't make a perfect square. So I'm going to say that they are intersecting lines. So we're going to say line ST, draw my arrows, intersects, and we're going to just abbreviate, with line UV. Okay, draw your arrows. This does make a perfect square. Looks like a plus sign, and I can see that letter L in there. So I know these must be perpendicular. So I'm going to say line MN is perpendicular, which is an upside down T, to PQ, line PQ. So I have to draw my arrows. Then I have line AB and CD. They never cross, so they're parallel. So line AB is parallel. Sorry about that, a little close, so let me back that up. Is parallel to line CD. One note that you might notice is I dealt with all lines with arrows at the ends, but if I drew rays and I had this ray and I had this ray, I noticed that these two rays form a 90-degree angle. They are perpendicular. I would say, I would label them like AB is perpendicular to CD. Okay? So ray AB, I would just use my ray symbol as perpendicular to, then I made line CD. So I use the correct symbol on top to show that it's a ray versus a line. You could even have line segments that you're comparing. For example, I could show you that, and you don't have to write this part. If you did, that's good for you. This is line segment CD, and this is line segment EF. If I were going to label that, I would say line segment EF is parallel to line segment CD. Okay, now go ahead and try the lesson.